The Custer County Board of County Commissioners meeting will come to order. Let the record show it is April the 3rd, 9 o'clock a.m. Mr. Vernon, would you care to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, sir?
Indeed, sir.
Thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. Make sure my phone's muted. Madam Secretary, would you conduct the roll call, please?
I would. Commissioner Flower.
Present.
Commissioner Kanda.
Here.
Commissioner Prince.
Here.
Attorney Clint Smith.
Present.
And Clerk to the Board Kelly Camper present.
Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate that. Gentlemen, any amendments to the agenda?
Negative on my side.
I have one, and that will be to delete the Human Services item from staff reports from today and move it to tomorrow. We will put that last after VSO on tomorrow's agenda, if you would, please. That's all I have. Anything else, gentlemen? Okay, thank you, sir. Audience introductions.
Tracy Ballard Tribune. Jackie Beaver Sentinel.
Kelly Cole.
Thank you for being here. Welcome. We have no minutes to approve. We'll move to commissioner items. Commissioner Prince.
I don't have anything to report.
Okay. Commissioner Kanda.
Only been a couple days, but a couple quick ones. I met with the new postmistress master at the post office and discussed our Heritage Road campaign here to get the road signs up on the valley that are heritage, the colony road signs. Just want to make sure we don't have any issues there. She's going to set up a meeting with the district manager to make sure that mail gets delivered if somebody screws up and says Horn Road instead of County Road 130. As you know, we're going to leave all the number signs will be up, and all the computers that are set for that will remain intact. And they brought up a good one with the emergency services. So we'll see how the post office, what they think, and we'll go from there.
Okay.
That'll be in a week or two.
Doing this?
It's it was a grassroots campaign in email, and so I've asked Elin Parker Glatt, what's her? Gatchow. She and there's a couple other people that are involved in wanting to make sure as the signs fall down, we replace them with the names. And it turns out that's an easy thing to do, as I mentioned before. But we'll go over that when we see what the issues are, and I'll bring the whole thing.
Okay. So it's not.
We're not.
Nothing's been decided.
No, and it's not. It's not
you.
an issue with tax money or not. It's an issue of whether it's restrictive in some way or not. And before we let them go wild on changing or not changing the names, putting the old names back up.
Okay.
The other thing I talked.
Well, let me ask you a question real quick before we move on. Who's going to pay for the new signs?
They're already in the budget today at the Road and Bridge Department for replacing signs, and they've got them. And so it is it's in the budget, but we need to talk about what it is. The cost per sign is like $5, something like that. It's not a big expense. We're not talking about making fancy signs or anything like that. We don't know yet, but we'll see.
So you're thinking about having both the number
They'll
and
both
the
be there on the same sign
name? That was
post.
a big problem.
And that's what it is today. If you go around the valley, you'll see some colony signs to the Colfax, etc.
My address has two addresses, a county road and a name.
I get mail addressed to me at Horn Road Hall.
Now, is this going to be county-wide, or?
Yes, and Gary's...
So we're talking significant number of signs, I would
Not
guess.
really, Tom. Gary's taken a look. I've got the map, and he looked at all the signposts where they originally were, like on Pines Road and stuff. There's maybe 20 signs right now. But we'll see. It's not a big deal yet, but let's give it time and figure out what we got.
So the commission will
Come back.
eventually have an
Absolutely.
opportunity to vote yes or no on it, correct?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. We don't want to do something that wouldn't be legal or would disrupt current business. But there is a lot of support to do that. Anyway, the other thing was the right-of-way or the easement through Silver Cliff Heights, or whatever they call it, east, up Gibbs Mountain, Silver Cliff Ranch. And I asked Clint to take a look at it, because eventually we're going to have to figure out where we are on it to make sure that the language is correct in the easements that we currently have, and maintain the 30-foot right-of-way that the county has. And Silver Cliff's already straightened out their piece. It is a 60-foot right-of-way up through there. And as a matter of fact, the pillars that were in the way were taken down and cleared there. So anyway, I just want to make sure we're following through with that. And then road and bridge wise, Gary's got a pretty good report today. We're going to talk about the dump truck status and the other issues there, and he's tracking his budget real well this year. It's not, thank heavens the snow hasn't been overwhelming, but then that's bad news that the snow has not been overwhelming. We need the moisture. That's all I got.
Okay. I put Mountain Connect conference on the commissioner items to discuss. I do not think I will attend that, strictly from a financial perspective. I just think it's too much money, so.
Where was that held anyway? I missed that for some reason.
No, it's coming up in June, it's one we were just talking about.
Was that the one in Vail? Yeah.
So it's $300 for the conference and $99 for the broadband portion and $180 a night for rooms, and I'm just not going to do it.
I agree with that.
Yeah, I will go. I've got a sister there that I can defray the cost with. I did talk with the couple people at that conference, and I thought it was, and with Sarah Blackhurst on the Action 22, and feel that that's probably worthwhile given we're working hard at looking at how we're handling broadband here. So I will represent us.
Certainly got an email from Economic Development encouraging us to attend, and again, it's strictly a financial thing for
Especially
me.
if they're there.
By the way, you know our $1 million was approved.
I do know that.
Okay, I can't believe we just blew by that.
Yeah, no, it
grant
wasn't.
was
Where was the drum roll?
Yeah.
What about I meant to say that it was approved yesterday, and I'm just thrilled. And I'll tell you, I think that Economic Development Group, those three gentlemen who worked so hard on that, deserve mega kudos from this commission and from this county.
Yes, I agree. I put that letter, excuse me, I put that letter in my board packet this morning, but I did not have it on my agenda.
Just
So,
to mention it.
yeah.
So it's going to be a few more weeks before we know what the feds do. Just so
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what the timeline is on the EDA grant, but let me pull that up. I'm on the wrong one here too. So
I meant to. Well, we'll talk about it tomorrow's meeting.
what's that?
The next steps on that. See what going to be time to meet up with them and make sure we're connecting with what the next steps they're pushing on.
Is that on the agenda for tomorrow?
No, that's why I wanted to bring it up.
Oh, okay, gotcha. You want to add that?
I'm not gonna. I can add it just to say that we
Okay.
need to keep in touch, and we'll schedule a meeting with Charles and
Okay.
sit down with him.
Yeah. Yeah, Energy and Mineral Impact Assistant Grant through DOLA. So, yeah, that was a pretty cool letter to get that. I'll just read one sentence out, or a couple sentences out here. It says, congratulations, after thorough review, I'm excited to offer a grant awarding the amount of $1 million for the purchase and installation of 6 100-foot communication towers throughout the county to help improve broadband use access. So, good news yesterday.
We should name the towers, and I know 3 of them. One should be called Chuck, and one should be called...
You. Okay. Any other commissioner items?
No, sir.
Okay, we'll move ahead. Attorney items. Counselor?
In response to what Bill talked about just a minute ago, that easement up to the towers, I'm waiting for the attorney that's handling this, representing Claudia Morris on it, to see what she submits. She says she hopes to have the necessary legal access documents finalized in the near future. So I want to see what she comes up with and deal with it from that point. And I've talked to Kit Shy about it. He's pretty knowledgeable about the history of that easement and everything up there, but I'll stay on top of that.
Do you believe, I mean, I've been up there, I've stopped at her house, talked to her a couple different times. Is there an issue with the county?
I don't see one. I mean, we clearly have access up to the towers. There's no question about it, and it's a 30-foot easement.
Right.
And I think she just wants to get something in writing about that, so I don't really see a problem.
Yeah, I didn't think we had any kind of a legal issue with her. She keeps wanting to drag in other things into a discussion that
issue
has
that,
nothing to do with the county. So.
When Kit and I were talking about it from the past and what now is that she wants to make sure in her language there's a way she can control things to make sure that if there's a gate or a cattle guard or whatever, so we've got to be careful on how they word whatever they're going to give us rights of way through.
Right.
And we have the right of way already, so I don't know.
Yeah, it's clearly we have the right of way, so there's no question about that. It's the resolution that was passed back in 1986 declaring it to be a public road is, I would agree, is not a legal document. You can't do it that way. You can't just arbitrarily, the commissioners say this is now a public road, so we may end up
Rewriting something.
setting that aside and see if we need any other resolution. I'm guessing we probably don't, but I'll monitor that. I think I'd mentioned last time that Shannon had asked me to take a look at this, I guess better, Shannon Byerly. Shannon's now. Search and Rescue had gotten a proposed medical director agreement from an emergency room physician out of Colorado Springs who has a private business as well, providing medical supervision services, consulting services. It's primarily to search and rescue, which isn't something that we have any responsibility for, but there was going to be a component of it where they would also provide some consulting services to the sheriff for the dispatch end of search and rescue operations. So I looked over that agreement, made some suggestions on it. Jerry Pickerel, a retired attorney, who's also on the search and rescue board, he and I talked about making some changes in this proposed agreement, and I think we're both on the same page. It sounds like a really good deal for search and rescue. This doctor is only going to charge a fee of $400 a month. Which, I mean,
where is he from?
He's from Colorado Springs. He's with Penrose Hospital, I think, and if he's an emergency room doctor, I'm sure he's got a contract where he's making at least $25,000 a month, so I'm not sure. Maybe that's why you can afford to do this for $400, but
Nice guy.
yeah, but it looked good to me anyway, and he's an experienced physician in this area of emergency trauma services, so that one I think is fine. And I did send you all a memo concerning some research I did on the tourism board, if that's something we do want to discuss. I didn't give any legal opinions in that. I just sort of set forth what I could find in the statute and what I think the language means. And if it's something we want to talk about further, we could do that. And if it does require legal advice, it would be in an executive session then.
Okay.
If that comes back up, can I suggest that we put it as an agenda item? and
Yeah,
invite
that's just
the
what I
tourism
was
board
going to
be-
recommend. Would you gentlemen be okay with putting the
It should be.
tourism board on an agenda item for our mid-month meeting?
Well, that's down in Wetmore.
Yes. Would you prefer to have it up here?
I think I would.
Okay.
Want to do it the end of the month?
We certainly can. Move it to the 30th, April 30th.
Okay.
Mr. Kanda?
That's all right with
You
me.
okay with
Okay,
that?
good. Miss Brenda, you okay with that?
Yep.
April 30th, thank you. We'll put that under new business.
And is it just a discussion or?
Yes. I would guess discussion of tourism board membership requirements. Anything else, Counselor?
No, that's all I have.
All right, thank you, sir, appreciate it. Administrative assistant item?
I don't have
items?
anything at this time.
Okay, thank you.
We'll be out of here
Running,
by 10 o'clock.
running a little ahead of schedule.
I did text
Don't-
Gary.
don't let
He
that
said
fool
he's
you,
on his
Tom.
way.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you say.
she
I
said she.
texted Gary, he's on his way.
Thank you. We'll gain a little bit there, so we'll wait for Mr. Hyde. Good morning.
Hi.
Hi, Angie.
Just so you know, they just set tourism as an agenda item for the 30th.
Okay.
Yep.
I guess I could add that Cindy Howard has drafted a revision of the intergovernmental agreement I prepared last year concerning the towers, and I looked that over, and it looked fine to me. She knows a whole lot more about
Okay.
those towers than I do, so.
Yeah.
If you wanted, I could call someone inside the building. We could squeeze them in, like Donna.
That'll work.
Yeah, that's
There's
fine.
Gary, he's pulling up.
Oh, Gary's
Yeah.
coming. Okay, never mind.
But that was a good thought.
Just to keep things moving.
Mm-hmm, thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Not getting crazy here, but have you seen Jay's tie?
Oh,
We
yes, we
spoke
have.
about that.
I missed that part.
Wilma.
Yabba dabba do.
Yeah, he's fishing, I believe. Oh,
I
yeah.
started to put on my Dallas cowboy tie, and I figured there's enough rumors about that going
Oh,
around.
yeah. That's Texas.
Yeah, I didn't want to. So I wanted something really colorful for today. I don't know why.
It's pretty, really something.
Wilma! Anyway,
I think it's
noticing.
Creststone Chronicles worthy.
There you go.
Well, I know I'm on TV. I'm hoping some, casting director sees me and goes, "That's the guy we need."
Or not.
Or not.
Oh, I'm sure, though, probably.
One 28, 126.
Code 4.
You know, that's okay. You announced yourself because we're waiting for you. You're up here.
Put my sunglasses on.
Yeah,
Good morning.
I understand you got a spider.
I did.
Gotta talk about it.
Yeah, I've
Hello there,
been
how
on
are
cloud nine for about 2 weeks now.
Take my, gee, where's your gun? Take my coat off and get
Well, I
dirty
think-
with you.
Hanging on to this.
How are you this morning?
Pretty good.
Good, good. Thank you for coming in early. Appreciate that.
I did get some traffic counts here a few weeks ago.
Oh, good.
For Hermit Road, boy, it was high. Well, I think it's high anyway.
Like for a month or for a week?
Just for a week. I ran it through the weekend and all.
1,000.
We averaged 642 a
I was
day.
going to say 600, but
Where at?
Out here on Hermit Road.
And that's
Or you mean
that's the
thoroughfare.
bridge.
Yeah. Well,
well, heck, 100 of them were Tom going back and forth. I share Schoolfield once in a while, Tom.
Yeah.
We're out all the roads evenly around here.
Well, speaking of Hermit, when are you thinking about starting the replacement of the drainage, the bridge that we're going to do?
not till probably Well, early
October.
October of this year,
Okay.
when the water level goes back down. And that'll allow us.
Traffic goes down too,
Yeah. Hopefully traffic will go down too.
Okay.
compared to the summer it will.
So 642 vehicles a day. Huh?
Yeah.
It's a lot of cars.
Yeah. Yeah, because there's several hours, you know, you're not getting any traffic on, you know, like from midnight to 5
Does
in
it
the morning or whatever.
differentiate between trucks and big trucks and cars?
No, our counter won't do that. I mean,
Like a tandem axle, you might get a double bang quicker.
no, actually on the, I don't know how this device does it, but if you have a truck and trailer go over it, it recognizes it as
That's a
one
truck, one unit. Is
One
that
unit,
right?
yep.
I'll be darned. It must be the tandem axle then, bringing it. Huh.
Yeah, in fact, I did a manual count one time just to make sure this thing was
See if it's
accurate.
doing it right.
Yeah. And if it's a car that goes over, it's one vehicle, and if it's a truck and trailer,
Wow.
an 18-wheeler, it shows it as one vehicle.
Cool.
I don't know how it does it, but it's got it figured out
Yeah.
somehow.
Well, I'll say one thing. You sure did a lot of research on financing for a water truck. I'm proud of you.
Well,
Really and
thanks.
truly. That's a lot of work you did. I was looking at that last night thinking, man, this man really did his homework.
He's got the best deal in town.
Yeah. I did talk to Donna about that this morning, and she felt like option 2 on what I said.
Looked good to me.
Yeah. She thought that was the best route to go. You know, it's the best money saver as far as interest. So,
Before we get started on that, you want to go through your other
Report.
documents, budget?
yeah, actually, I've been so wrapped up in this truck thing and other things going on, I haven't had a chance to go over the budget. Since
Okay, well,
it was updated from last time, as far as
It's updated and it looked pretty good to me earlier, but I didn't get a chance to talk to you.
I haven't had anything big come through, so I know that, you know, we're pretty much on an even keel as far as spending, so.
So Barbie's doing this for you, updating your expenses through the month.
Right.
Because I see in January, we had $16,000 in gas, oil, and diesel. And in February, we had $2,000. And then when I looked at your diesel, or your fuel consumption, it was 4,500 gallons. So I just didn't know if you had a chance to look at that, or
No, I have not.
trying to pull it up here. And then I see the fuel consumption is from the 20th of February to the 21st of March. So it's not first of the month through the end of the month. It's more mid-month.
I noticed that repairs and maintenance, we had a budget of 20,000. And already this year, if I'm reading this correctly, we spent almost 38,000.
Yeah, I knew that was going to be one. We had some major things come through. I knew that number, that 20,000, when we did the budget last year in August, it was going to be low because we.
Didn't need to yell at us.
Is that the
Where are
transmission?
you going to allocate the money to cover?
We're going to have to try and cut back in other areas. Hopefully, you know, fuel and things like that's
Okay.
going to save us because we always assume that we're going to use more fuel than what we actually do, and at the end of the year, we've got.
Okay, so
Plenty
you're
of
not
that.
concerned that in the first 2 months, you've already almost doubled your
Yeah,
budget?
17,000 over.
You're not concerned about, I mean,
No.
you're concerned you find the money, okay.
Oh, I mean, you know, that's a lot, but I know that we're going to make it up in other areas. We just cut
Repairs and
corners
maintenance,
in
you
other
know, you really
areas.
can't anticipate it happens.
Sure.
I just want to make sure that we cover it in the budget somewhere. So if you feel comfortable, I'm good.
So far.
You don't anticipate that to continue to be 10, 15,000 a month throughout the rest of the year?
No, I'd be surprised if we had much of anything come through.
Also, what Gary's done is he's in the past he's broken these into line items, and he's got different guys that are looking at it, and meeting with him. They keep it on the calendar so he looks at it. So it's not like it's going to come up all of a sudden and then we got to scramble. It's going to come up in time for us to actually make some changes in it.
I was just concerned that it's
Yeah,
2 months
18,000
into it,
over
we're
in 2
almost-
months.
Yeah, I was just concerned about that, but I know you're going to be able to move the budget around, so I'm not worried about it. I was just curious as to how come we're there like that.
Yeah.
That's fine. Other than that, I don't see anything that jumped out at me. That was the only one I red flagged. And then even red flag it. I was curious as to what was going on.
Sure.
Good.
So how's the transmission? I talked to, in the loader, you got it out there for him, right? Rusty will be in to talk about that.
I haven't heard him mention anything on that transmission. How it's
Well, he
working
was
out.
having a problem getting when I was out talking with you last, they were having a problem with matching bolts up.
Oh, are you talking about the compactor? Or
Yeah. Or the,
Rusty's
he'll be back in. Which machine was it that he had the problem with? I thought it was.
Well, I don't know. We've got one in the shop right now. He's compactor, and we're wrapping it up as far as getting the. It had a rebuild engine.
You had to rebuild the engine.
Yeah, we put a rebuild
Yeah,
engine in it.
confusing the loader with the
Oh,
compactor.
okay.
So we'll let Rusty handle that.
Yeah. There's some minor
Byron
stuff.
was working it for him.
Yeah, there's some minor stuff to be done to it, but it's getting close to being done.
Good.
So, he had it fired up and running the other day when I was in the shop.
Good.
So,
So you want to talk about these water trucks, I'm assuming?
yes.
Let's do that.
And we're aware of what our situation is with these water trucks. Yeah, it's something that kind of snuck up on us. It's something that I wasn't aware of. Nobody was aware of until we got pulled over by motor carrier inspection, and then through trial and error, we realized that we were overloading these front axles, and because of it being a liability as well as a safety issue, we started loading the water trucks half full in order to comply with what the load rating is on front axles. Anyway, I got with Byron and Chris, and I've done a lot of research on this, trying to figure out a solution to it. And one of them would be to change out the front axles. But, for the amount of hours and miles on these trucks, I don't think it's a very good investment for us. One, as an example, the International that we've got, it's got some engine issues on it, which later on is going to cost us about $30,000 to fix. So I hate to put $15,000 in that one when we're going to have to spend an additional $30,000 on it to replace the engine, especially with the amount of hours on the unit itself as well as miles. So I think our best route would be to just replace all of these trucks. The information they're giving me on the Wetmore truck, the Volvo that's down there that these guys use, it's got a lot of issues, and according to Byron, we need to get rid of it. So
just to make sure I understand how we talked about this before. The problem is the truck itself it doesn't meet the law in terms of the weight it's carrying. Is that what the issue is, unless it has a beefier front axle?
correct, yes.
Okay.
And the rear axle.
And even the rear axles on a couple of them are being overloaded if we load the tanks full with the 4,000 gallons. So,
And tell them the reason that happened. If these were tractors that were modified way back when, and they set the tanks on them without really checking the load limits on front axle.
yeah, it's just an oversight. I mean, it's easy enough to do.
It's not a water truck you'd buy commercially and the vendor screwed up.
It seems like about 90% of the water trucks you see that are being used, in their earlier life, they were the tractors that were
Right.
pulling a trailer, and then they were just modified at a later date to make a water truck, and then they were sold that way. We were even sold a water truck a few years back, and they
Didn't realize.
well, what they did was they load rated the front axle at like 20,000 pounds, and when we got to checking, it's not. They put a load rating on it that wasn't actually
Right.
Yeah, it wasn't accurate.
How much of a hassle is it for your men to fill the truck only halfway full to meet the law, which of course we want to do, and to keep doing that as opposed to the significant expense to buy new trucks, so that we don't have to go back and forth? I'm trying to see it as what is it going to cost the county detrimentally if the men have to go back and forth to refill it to meet the law rather than replace the trucks?
Well, in order to haul what we would normally load with 2 water trucks with full loads and 2 guys, it's taking 4 guys to do now. Plus, we're putting extra wear and tear on these trucks to haul
Twice the
half
gas.
loads. Yeah, it's twice the wear and tear, the fuel, and everything else. To hold 2,000 gallons with its versus 4,000 gallons. Once again, it's taken 4 guys to hold 8,000 gallons versus 2 guys that would normally hold that much in just 2 trucks. So, and for the distance we got to haul this water, it's costing more money than.
Just thinking in terms of just numbers now. I'm not talking about the additional cost for the man and the equipment and the gas and all the upkeep on it. Would the county save money by buying the truck now and putting these other trucks into some other service or trading them in or whatever? Or would it be worth continuing to pay that extra expense until these trucks truly are ready to be scrapped or whatever you do with them when they're all done? I'm trying to come up with which one financially makes more sense.
Well, in order to continue hauling the way we are, I'd actually have to employ 2 more guys to haul that much water to keep up with the demands on these roads and where we need this water at. So, versus employing 2 more guys plus, their overhead.
Not only that, you would have twice the time. You would be behind because
Yeah, I understand that.
you wouldn't be able to meet the need.
Yeah.
With the current number of trucks we have, you'd have to have some more trucks.
Right, that's the problem I'm faced with. We could continue to load them half full, but our roads are going to suffer for it because we're not getting the water to the.
And heaven knows, we all hear that, the 3 of us, every day. And I say, we're doing the best
Some
we
more
can.
than others, Jay.
Yeah, I know. It's just part of
And
it.
it is. I mean, it's common with every county that.
So I'm looking at the budget. Do we have money budgeted?
Tell them how it works into the budget, Gary.
We do in debt services equipment this year. We have $209,000,
I see that.
and there is approximately 108 spoken for truck payments that we're currently making, and then it leaves a surplus of $101,000. So for the 3 trucks that we
Before
were
you go
gonna
further, are those trucks that you're making payments on any of these trucks?
No.
That's right. So you got 100,000 there, and that's it, right?
Okay, so there'll be additional debt service if we take on additional trucks.
And these payments that we're making there's one more payment to be made on these 3 units. One is a plow truck up here, and one is a plow truck in Wetmore, and then one is a gravel truck up here.
That's
And
going to free up some.
Yeah, we'll make one more payment of $108,000 approximately, and that'll be in 2019, and then all 3 of those are going to be paid off.
Okay.
So the payment that we have for next year will be right around $200,000 for the 3 new water trucks, and then 2 plow trucks, and then the gravel truck. And then after next year, that big payment will be gone. It'll be shrunk down to the approximately $98,000 for these 3 water trucks.
And what you were planning was leasing a semi truck,
Yeah, one of the things that
swapping it out instead.
Yeah, one of the things that we were going to use some of that debt service equipment money for this year was buying another gravel truck. And one of these water trucks that is being overloaded, what we planned on doing was pulling the tank off of it, which is fairly new, and putting it over on one of the new trucks that we buy from Bruckner. And then that truck can be used as a gravel truck. So
Didn't we just, I may not remember, I thought we just bought a water truck within the last year.
and that's the one we put the new tank on, and that's the one that.
And that one doesn't meet the code either? Okay, that's fine. I mean, we didn't know. So how many trucks do you want to are you interested in purchasing?
3 water trucks, or 3 new trucks to put water tanks on.
Okay, and when I'm looking at your finance spreadsheet, which again, I commend you on a great job researching it. And I went to option 2 because you mentioned that. I didn't know which was a better one, except option 2 was less money, so I like that. But that may not be the best deal. Is that for all 3 trucks?
That option, yes. Yeah, it reflects the down payment as well as what the annual payment would be for all 3 of them.
And of course, that's going to have to be a lease purchase type deal because of Tabor. Yeah.
Yes. And once again, that's the one that saves us the most interest. Over a 3-year period, it would cost the county about $21,126 in interest.
With our local bank.
It's the same bank. No, it's a Kansas State Bank, and it's the same company that we've got our trucks financed through.
Just because I'd like to be local, is it asking too much to say, can we run the same deal by the bank here and see if it's something we could match?
Not at all. I'm
I
not
would
opposed to
much
doing
rather
that.
keep the
Shop
money
around.
local if we
Sure.
can. Now, if we save money, obviously we need to save money, but I certainly don't want to give our bank an opportunity.
No, I think that's a good
How
idea.
did we end up with the Kansas Bank anyway?
I'm not sure. I've never asked that question, and it was before my time, so I don't know. I don't know if they offered the best interest rate or what.
I think they had the best offer. They dealt with, you buying these through Bruckner?
Correct.
Okay, and that's why we're doing it through Kansas, because they had a financing arrangement there that was pretty fair.
They usually
pretty good.
do. They each dealer has their own banker
Right.
that gives them the best break. So
That's the company also, if I remember, when we had a little snafu towards the end of last year, and they really came through and were great about our little issue that we had in terms of straightening it out and working with us to fix an error that the county had made. So I feel a loyalty to them, but I also am concerned about our local.
Well, yeah. In fact, we had financed through a bank in Wichita when I worked at county back in Kansas, and the commissioners suggested the same thing. Check with the local bank. So when I did, they asked me. They said, "Well, what interest rate are you getting through the Wichita State Bank or whatever it was?" And I told them, and they matched it. So we did go ahead and get some equipment
Yeah,
financed through a local bank.
I
So
would certainly appreciate if you did that. I mean, if
Good
we
idea.
attempted that.
yeah.
Talk about your debt service line again. Can you go back through that and highlight that for me, please? Budgeted 209,000.
Yeah, that was budgeted for this year. Because our intentions were to get the truck and trailer and maybe a motor grader, but these water trucks are far and above more important.
So can we anticipate, obviously we can't anticipate because it'll blow the budget out the water. In January it was $37,000. I see February there was none. It's not a monthly fee? How does that work?
No, it's just an annual lump sum payment. We've got one payment in January, and then we've got another one in December. The one in January was approximately $37,000, and then the one in December is like the balance of $37,000 from 108. It's like $78,000, and the second payment in December of 18 will pay. It's for the two plow trucks, the one up here and the one in Wetmore,
Gotcha.
which were purchased a couple of years ago. And that single payment that you're talking about in January, that $37,000 and change, that was for that gravel truck that was purchased last year.
Gotcha. So this year, the debt service you would anticipate to be around 100,000?
With those two payments, the one in December and January, it's going to
Just
be
the way it
108.
currently sits, around that.
Right.
Okay. And then if we took this project on, we'd be increasing it back to that number. Oops, not too far. What would the,
what he's trying to do is make it match what it is. The payment can be whatever they agree with. They can make it less than that, but then we don't pay it off as quick. It's more interest to the county.
Sure.
That's why he raised it up to the
sure, I understand that.
And then that $90,000 down payment would come out of this year's debt service
Right.
equipment, and then still leave us a balance of about $10,000.
10 grand and
Yeah.
to do whatever to cover.
And that
We can decide not to give that much down payment.
I know.
well, and even if we end up with that $10,000 balance in there, and it's not used through the year, it can go towards.
Well, it
the
can go to
equipment.
gas or
Equipment
tires
repair
or whatever.
that we're over
Or
on.
equipment, yeah.
Yeah,
repair.
so.
So, that's a trade, but I asked him what we thought the maintenance on the existing equipment would be. The rest of the fleet's pretty good.
Yeah.
Even though they had planned to look into another tractor trailer, we don't have any issue with that really, maintenance-wise right now. So it's probably a low risk to worry about, $10,000 go a long ways repairing a clutch in it or whatever.
Just trying to get up to speed with you guys.
Sure.
So it'd be 90,000 down. That would come out of,
Debt service equipment.
okay. And then would it again be two payments a year?
No, it'll for these three water trucks, it'll just be that single payment of $98,810. So, I'm
Tell me
sorry.
where the 90,000 coming from?
It's going to come from debt service equipment.
Remember, they budgeted 200,000 roughly. Let's just talk about it.
209.
Yeah.
And you're gonna spend 100 on current.
Yeah, 100,
The rest of the payments this year.
100, you say, on current stuff?
108.
108.
Okay, so you have, say, 100,000 left in that budget. You spend 90 down payment. What about the debt service on the 3 new trucks? Where's that gonna come from?
Well, once we pay that down payment, that's it for this year. We won't.
Comes out of next year's payment, the same way the others did.
I didn't
It breaks it into 2
Okay,
pieces
I got it now.
next
Okay.
year.
Yeah, we'll just have to budget for
I got
it
it.
next
And that's
year.
what they'll, when we get into
Should be looking
October,
at-
we'll throw that in the budget.
Oh,
We
we
might
will.
have to decrease it, increase it, depending on what
I
the
got
balance
you.
is.
I see. Okay, I'm good with this.
So this year's debt service equipment was 209, and next year will be about the same money because of the water truck payments.
We're paying off a couple, but we're gaining another.
Right. For 1 year next year, unless we take on any new equipment in 2020, next year it'll be 209 approximately, our debt service equipment. And then the following year, it's going to drop down to 98,000 that we'll have in payments for 3 years.
Got it.
So
And are these new trucks used trucks?
now they're brand new.
Yeah. With a long warranty? and all
With
that
the
stuff?
good axles.
Exactly. The front axles are going to be 18,000 pounds, far and above what we're going to need, and then the back are
Well, we
44,000 pounds.
obviously need to come into compliance with the law.
Well,
Obviously,
It's
there's
a
no
safety
doubt with
issue
that.
more than
Well,
anything.
yeah,
Yeah, right,
more safety first and then the law second.
Right.
exactly.
I
Safety.
And,
just- I
and
can't
the
put my-
efficiency of using them, so we can do more with the same truck instead of.
I'm all on board with this. My only question was, I was wondering how it was going to get financed, where it was coming from, does it fit the budget? And the answer to all
It's a
that is
zero-sum
yes.
game.
Yes, we're going to be ahead of the game.
Actually,
We're going to provide better service for the people in our county. We're going to have trucks that comply with the law. They're going to be safe for our people, and it fits within the budget. And in fact, this line item will have some excess in it. And then next year, since we won't have a $90,000 payment, assuming we budgeted basically the same amount, we'd still be able to take care of our debt service because you have several trucks you're going to be paying off.
Well, I think it's a good investment for the county. I mean, it's the most heavily used piece of equipment in our entire fleet, and it's one of the more important ones.
And are you going to budget car washes for every time I drive through when you're watering the roads? All right, never mind. That was
You
just
better
a
budget
joke.
3. You better budget 3.
Just
So
a
the
joke.
downside that I look at it is, obviously we'll have to trade off because the truck and belly dump that we were planning on buying this year is going by the wayside. Is that correct?
It'll need to go by the wayside this year.
And the motor grader as well.
That's right.
And then,
Do we need all 3 trucks, or could we make a combination with a rotor grader and one truck, or a water truck? I don't know, I'm just asking.
No, we need to get all these trucks dealt with. I mean,
You can't have it bad.
and the one we're keeping,
you will need the front axle upgraded on it, but loaded fully with 4,000 gallons, the back axle is legal. We're actually underweight a little bit. So the back axle we're good on,
So you only need $16,000 to upgrade it.
approximately. And then, until we do that, even if we don't want to spend that money on that this year, we can actually run a half a load on it till next year when we upgrade the axle on it. And that's the truck I was going to transfer to Wetmore. So they can get by with
You don't use
2,000.
it as much.
Right. They don't use it nearly as much as what we use water trucks.
so of the 5 water trucks the county currently owns, we're gonna replace 3.
Right. We're going to end up, instead of having 4 up here, we're going to have 3. But one of the reasons we had 4 up here is because we were always working on one in the shop, and that gave us, if we had one down, it gave us at least 3 to run with. Now that we're going to have 3 new trucks, which
We'll
should
get through
be,
the year, you would hope.
yeah, they should be pretty dependent as far as mechanically.
Get the
So
other one up.
there's really no need to have the 4th one necessarily. At least for now, anyway. If our demand keeps increasing on the roads, the traffic keeps increasing, there may be a time, a year or 2 down the road, we have to look at putting a 4th one on board.
Did
But
this proposal that you're making, does that include trading the trucks in, or do we just have the replacement trucks, the old ones would?
Sell 'em.
I mean, could Rusty use them, or is there something else we could do with them to put them to use. I don't want you to make a redheaded stepchild back there. I don't want to just give you the
Poor Rusty.
leftover junk, but I mean, maybe it's usable because you have just a short area. Maybe
He's used to junk.
There were trade-ins, correct? That's what you're planning on doing?
Yeah, I'd just like to get rid of them
Okay.
so that we don't have them around anymore. And
They're worth
Yeah,
what,
they have tried to help
10,000,
you.
15, 20,000 each? What are they worth?
actually, this is what Bruckner allowed trade-in on them, which was a real good price. Like on that Peterbilt with almost 700,000 miles, it shows the trade-in value on it.
Pretty good.
It was $32,000.
I can't believe that.
And I did check with Rich.
700,000 miles on it?
Yep.
Yeah,
Still has that kind of trade-in?
shocked me.
Worth what the engine is.
And then we went to MHC and Peterbilt, and they only offered around 14 for it. So we got a far better trade-in value from Bruckner's. And I did check with Ritchie Brother Auction. For a government agency, they charge 11.5% fee to sell a truck. And in order for us to recoup that fee, we'd have to sell the trucks for, I've got it on there for,
Way too much.
yeah, around $35,000 or $6,000. Plus, we'd have about $500 in each truck, getting it ready for the auction, plus transporting it down there and things like that. So, Bruckner's was really fair about their trade-in value. Well, they even gave us $10,000 for that Volvo down in Wetmore, and it's, I don't want to say it's a piece of junk, but it's worn out. So they're not getting much for that, for what they're giving us for that truck. So I think the best route to go would be to just trade the trucks into Bruckner and just wash our hands of them because of the prices they're giving us for them.
And one of the trucks you're gonna buy a straight frame and put a tank that we already have.
Yeah, what we'll do is we'll take the tank off of the Mack, and it's relatively new, and then transfer it over to one of the new trucks. That's the one that we want to pull the tank off of and put it on a new truck, and then that truck will go into our fleet as one of the gravel trucks. And then Bruckner's has got a fifth wheel plate they're just going to give us to put on it. So that's,
It's good.
And you use that to pull the gravel
yeah.
trailer with belly bent.
There's the International we're going to trade in.
And then what about painting, decals, all that?
We don't put the decals on the tanks anymore. We just put a sticker like on that Mack.
On the back.
Yeah, I think Byron's even got those stickers in already bought and in place. So here's that old Pete. They're going to give us $32,000 for. That's the one with nearly 700,000 miles or more.
Those trucks are worth it.
And which truck will the tank come off of then?
It's the Mack in one of those
Second
pictures.
picture, yeah.
Well, not that one. That one gets traded in as a unit.
Okay, so these two get traded in, and this is the one that the tank will come back.
So the spreadsheet has a comparison between a Peterbilt, Kenworth, and a Mack. And looks like the Mack is $13,000 more. The Kenworth is $3,000 more. Which one are you recommending, and is it worth the extra money if it's one of the two?
I think it would be the Mack.
Okay.
Their rear differential's built a little bit heavier for one thing, and I've gone through over this with Byron and Chris, the mechanics, and they recommend going with, based on their past experience with all three types of trucks, to go with the Macks.
$3,000 extra you feel is worth that?
Yes.
Okay, I'm fine with that.
And it's nice to keep the same kinds of trucks in our fleet versus having a hodgepodge of.
In fact, the Mack has focused on those kinds of trucks as opposed to over the road, like Peterbilt and Kenworth. They're more heavy-duty construction type trucks, and that's the differentials and axles and that are better.
And these trucks are not going to be standard transmission trucks either. They're going to be what they call an M-drive. It's a Mack M-drive transmission, where they're semi-automatic. They've actually got a clutch in them, but it's like an automatic in a vehicle. You just push the drive button and go. So
Right,
there's,
so it clutches it automatically.
yeah, it's all internal, which is something that we test drove one of these trucks and it really worked good. I think it'll work great for up here pulling heels.
So a
and things like
driver
that.
inexperienced can't screw it up.
That's what we're hoping for. And that's the problem we're running into nowadays is finding truck drivers because
Yeah.
we've encountered people with CDL licenses, but they don't have the experience to drive a truck. They've gone through the school and classes to get the CDL license, but they're not an experienced driver. So this type of transmission is going to help out with that situation.
So you're recommending option number 2?
Yeah, as far as financing.
We spoke with Donna, and she felt it was okay.
Yeah, she felt like option 2 out of the 8 was the best route to
So you
go.
can take option 2 to this bank and see what they can do.
Yes. Yeah, I'd go to the local bank and see what we can get through them.
Are you ready to move on this now? Are you asking for us to approve this?
Well,
I knew where we were. I didn't know if this was educational or we're ready to move.
And it's a process, I guess, we should probably move to do this. I mean, it's in the budget, so we're all on board. And I move that we accept his recommendation and he goes to the bank to see if he can get a better deal.
I'll second the motion
on the financing.
with the caveat if we could attempt to get our local bank to
That's what
come as close as it, you know, if they could, they're $1 or $2 here or there, I'm not gonna worry about it, but whichever one's the better deal for the county.
I will add also, one of the reasons that it's important to get this passed through fairly quickly is because Bruckner's has 4 of these trucks on the
Yeah,
ground.
they're gonna go.
They started out with 8. They hit the ground about 2 weeks ago. 4 of them spoken for. So we got 4 available, 3 for us, hopefully. And then if we don't deal on this right now, if those trucks get sold out from under us, then we have to put in an order to get trucks.
It'll
and
be a while.
It's going to be quite a while. So, you know, I hate to put this on you so quickly and make it sound like it's urgent, but I mean,
We knew it was coming.
It's an opportunity. It's basically budget for. We talked about water trucks multiple times in the past. So
You've got a motion, nobody has seconded it
I
yet.
second
He
it.
seconded
Oh,
it.
I'm sorry.
Just waiting.
My mistake. Okay.
It's been moved and seconded to move forward with the purchase of 3 new water trucks to be financed either through Kansas State Bank or local bank if they can be competitive, with $90,000 down and an anticipated annual lease payment of $98,000. Further discussion. I'm assuming we won't have you back here for buying more equipment the rest of the year. Is that correct?
correct. I wouldn't have the nerve to do that.
Shouldn't have to do it.
But you
No.
know,
And
stuff in this world happens, and if you have to, you come back and talk to us, and we see what we can do.
Sure. Yeah,
We just don't know what the
I'd
future's
prefer
gonna
not to
hold.
be here now asking for these
Okay.
trucks, but I mean, it is what it is.
We
Further
owe it to
discussion?
us. Yeah, I'm just gonna say, we owe it to our citizens to give them the absolute very best we can, and this plan seems very reasonable to me. I know the 2 of you have worked on this extensively.
And we've got to keep the
I don't
public
see
and the
issues
drivers
here.
safe.
That's right.
And, you know, there's a possibility we could go ahead and load these trucks full and nothing would ever happen, but the risk is not worth taking. I can't do it. I'll
Not
step
putting
down
any of our
first.
employees at risk if we can help it.
And here's the purchase orders for these
So when are you
3
gonna hire
trucks.
your first female road and bridge person?
When are we?
Okay, further discussion on the motion?
I haven't had one apply, honestly.
Hearing none, proceed to
I
vote.
guess I'll cross that
Want to
line.
talk to the public?
Yes, sorry, thank you. Public comment prior to the commission voting on this? Yes, ma'am.
Just one thing that wasn't brought up. If having to do 2 trips, it's also the extra wear and tear on the roads that you're trying to fix as it is now.
Sure.
That's great.
Further comment? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I'll vote aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. We will purchase 3 new water trucks from Bruckner Equipment with $90,000 down, and we'll attempt to involve our local bank with financing.
Yeah, I'll get with them right away and see what I can find out.
Would you let us know via email or something if this bank can be competitive?
Sure. And we've got as far as financing, though, we've got plenty of time. As long as we get the buyer's order submitted to Bruckner's that these trucks are spoken for, then we can iron out the financing details at a later date. So,
Do these need to be signed by the commissioners or?
yeah.
Make them spell Westcliff with an E.
Is it off of there? Yeah. I didn't even notice that.
This has a customer signature, can be any of us.
Pardon?
Did you want me to sign or do anything?
I just wanted to
I
have
think
you
when we
have the
have the
opportunity to
contracts,
look at them.
You'll put your signature on it.
It's getting hot.
So you want these signed today?
Yes, it's good. And that way these trucks don't get sold out to others. Otherwise, we don't have anything that'll officially hold them.
Just because I'm curious, while he's doing this, I don't mean to hold up the, is this like
You let
buying a car, do you
come
negotiate
over
the
here.
price and all that stuff, or do they just tell you, here's what the cost is?
They pretty much say, here's what the cost
I
is.
just-
They give us the best deal they can.
Okay, I just didn't know how it works. Because with cars, we,
And I did tell them that we got a better price from the other two vendors, hoping they might come down, but they didn't budge.
But the trade-ins couldn't compare either.
No, I didn't want to push my luck too far based on
I
what
was just
they
curious how that, while we have a lull here while we're signing, I was just curious how that worked.
Thank you.
Brenda, do you need a copy of these?
Do I? No.
Thank
Unless
you.
you want me to keep a copy.
That might not be a bad idea.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll make a copy.
Thank you, ma'am. All right, sir. Thank you for your research and efforts.
Good job, Gary.
Thank you. We'll take rides.
You guys,
did you get?
It's the RTS SE6. It's just like yours.
neither one of you,
Limited?
Okay, mine's not the one.
neither one of you boys have business riding those machines.
Well, not an old man, but.
Okay, thank you, sir.
That's the old man.
Your hand's warming up
All right,
barely.
we'll move on. Landfill.
Excuse me.
Rusty.
Good morning, sir. How are you? He's got that look about you.
Gary left the
Oh,
documents.
all right.
Guilty luck or what?
I don't know. I don't know what that is.
In there.
I got so many pages open here. I have no
They wouldn't let me
idea
have
what
a
I'm doing.
plug
So
except
let's
that.
get caught up here real
Well,
quick.
I didn't look.
Landfill, April report. All right, sir.
Well, it wasn't a hole left.
I actually just
Oh, they were running a
received an
projector.
email from our engineers, and they said that they could come down and meet with us in April, except for these days: the 5th, 6th, 10th, 12th, and 20th.
Okay.
Any other time they would be available to come down.
Who is it? What's their name again?
Golder.
Our mid-month meeting is the 18th.
What
Do you want to do it in the afternoon, possibly?
That would be a good one. 18th is Wednesday. Is it in Wetmore?
Well, we'll have our meeting in Wetmore. We could meet back up
Come
here,
back
yeah.
up here.
Come back up here, because
Sure,
yeah.
we'll go out there.
Right.
You want to meet out there?
Yeah, I think that'd probably be best, so we can all.
It's a good idea because when Rusty and I walked through everything and looked at all the places where there's X years of capability, we need to have them understand that.
Right.
And figure out what's the best timing on things. They need to see it.
So the 18th will work.
I'm good with it.
I'm good.
What's the name of the engineer?
Golder engineer.
2 o'clock?
2 o'clock.
What do you think, gentlemen?
I think that's fine.
That'd be
That'll
good.
give us plenty of time.
GOLDER.
Right.
Engineering or engineers?
Engineers.
I got you on there.
Golder Engineering, I guess.
Probably is, yeah.
More likely.
But they've been with us since the beginning, so it's quite a few years.
And the purpose is to help us determine how to expand the land.
Yeah, I think just getting a starting point probably. I was going to bring that engineering design and operating plan I have in here today, and I forgot it. But,
The big notebook.
right,
Oh, we'll wait.
it's the book about that thing.
Yeah, I saw it the other day. When
Did
I
you?
was there, yeah. Glanced in there and went, okay, 2 o'clock on the 18th.
That'll work.
Works for
Okay.
me.
They're coming out of,
Denver, Lakewood. As long as it's not a hurricane, which I'm sure it probably will be. It is today.
okay, good.
Now I lost you. Oh, there it is.
What else, sir?
Got to start. Actually, I talked to Tom Grethel at AG Engineering. We'll start the financial assurance process. That takes a while because we have to get the auditors here and get that all taken care of first too. And the compactor hopefully will be out of the shop this week. Counting on it.
Is it the one that had the transmission issues?
We replaced the engine on it.
And they did
Transmission was the loader.
that. They did that
Right.
down at Road and Bridge,
Yeah.
or they're doing it at Road and Bridge.
Yeah. Of course, you go in there for one thing and something else, okay, now we have a leak in the front wheel, so
Do they have the engine reset?
do they have it reset?
Do they have the new engine in the compactor?
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, we really need that back out there. And we shipped 54 cardboard bales at $100 a ton, so every little bit helps.
Yes, sir.
It was nice when it was up to 200.
How do you equate bales to tons? I mean, I see I had 54 bales at $100 a ton. So how much is that in tonnage, roughly? Just curious.
20 ton, right?
One bale is probably close to 900 pounds.
Good. So do you leave them out in the rain so they weigh more when you sell them?
You still can only get so many bales on the truck. 'Cause they were wet one time, really wet, with snow and rain and everything on them. We put the same amount of bales as we usually do, got over here to the scales and had to go back. Had to go back to landfill and take off 4 bales, so.
So what anomalies you got going on? Anything happening, or is this business as usual?
Business as usual.
That's what we like to hear.
Yeah.
Nobody hurt. So you had a nice safety meeting.
I was going to tell you about the water trucks too. The air pollution control people, of course, they always want the dirt roads wet around the landfill. So when we get inspected, we have a tank, a 300-gallon tank that we put in the back of our little dump truck.
How long does that take you?
Do you guys have a water truck? Yes, we do. It's sitting right there.
Very cool. What do you need from us? How can we help you?
What's that?
What do you need from us? How can we help you?
I think that we're good.
Hope everybody.
Get the engineers out there on the 18th at 2 o'clock. That will be a good thing.
Okay.
We can get this ball rolling, maybe.
Do you need a secondary date in case they have a problem with that, or?
That might be a good idea.
about the 17th, the day before meeting? Will you guys be in town?
I'm good in the afternoon. In the morning may be an issue for me.
Okay.
If you want to do 2 o'clock on the 17th, I'm fine.
You want to try that, Bill?
Yeah, that'll work.
Secondary meeting, 2 o'clock on Tuesday, April 17th.
Okay.
Alternate date. And if you'd let us know.
17th's a backup.
Perfect.
Yeah, if you'd let us know which of those dates.
Okay.
Try your best to get it
Possible,
on Wednesday,
then-
though, Rusty.
I'll get a hold of him today
Okay.
and see.
Okay.
Because they just had the 5th, 6th, 10th, 12th, and 20th that they couldn't make it, so the 18th hopefully will work.
It sounds like they'll be able to.
Yeah.
Okay,
Hope
good.
so.
All right, sir, thank you.
And
Anything else?
I think that's
That's it.
I believe that's it.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Coming in.
Thank you.
Thanks,
guys.
Rusty.
You betcha. See you, Kelly.
We're still having a workshop tomorrow, the Weed Advisory Board. Didn't see it on the agenda.
Have it.
It wasn't a
It's not
workshop,
a
it was
workshop.
just a advisory board meeting.
Yeah, I have it at 2 o'clock. I have thinking that I hope I did the procedure right. A lady came in I was talking to who has a degree in whatever weeds is, and she was interested in being on the board. I asked her to notify you
A degree in
a
weed.
request to be on the board.
Weed.
Her first name is Linnea. I don't know her last name.
Colorado, that fits.
Linnea Larilla.
Yes.
She wanted what? I'm sorry.
She was interested in being on the weed board. She got a certification or license to do something, I guess, kill weeds. And she asked me about being on the weed board, so I told her I thought the procedure would be to notify Brenda a letter of intent, and then it would come back to us eventually.
Yeah.
She owns Greenstone Gallery with her husband, Kurt Gillespie.
Good person.
Very nice lady.
You don't know where she lives, don't you?
She's not, she might be.
Yeah, she's out in the county. I
Oh,
think
is she?
they got 40 acres at least.
As long as they're in the county, and
Yeah.
so that would have to come from a recommendation from the existing lead board.
I think
To
it's
us.
Shining Mountain. Is there a road, something called Shining Mountain out there somewhere?
Yes.
Okay.
She raises alpacas.
I am not sure where she's at.
Okay.
So,
We have
maybe
extension.
just move to extension and I'll check.
Yeah, that's fine. Good morning. How are you? How are you?
How are you?
Good to see you.
Nice tie.
Good to see you again.
Oh, he's got the bolo on. Oh, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're gonna have to.
That one doesn't look familiar. Did that come
No, this is just a cheap one.
Looks fine. It's a. Looks like a patriotic tie.
Big old long report here, ma'am.
I've been busy.
You've been busy, yes.
Yeah. All right, I'll make it as quick and painless as possible, I guess.
Painless is okay.
We'll try to
Quick
hold
is
that to you.
Not necessary.
Okay.
It's optional.
All right. I think I have everything just pretty much in date order. So we'll just roll through this. So on the 14th of March, I attended the spring livestock task force meeting. And that was up in Denver. And we talked about how bad skunks are this year, that they woke up early.
They are.
Tons of rabies cases. We had a skunk bite an alpaca, and then the alpaca attacked the rest of the herd, and huge issue.
Really?
Yeah, so I put some announcements out on the extension Facebook page just saying if you see any, contact the office, stay away from them, make sure you're paying attention to if they're around any of your livestock, because we're not really vaccinating a lot of the livestock against rabies. And of course dogs and cats and things of that nature, just to keep an eye out for them. And make sure if you think that there's any reason or any way that they've been near your animals or your kids to go get checked out by the vet and by the doctor. They also talked about a scrapie testing program. They're doing a new research program. They're looking for information on any black-faced sheep that have been documented as on-farm deaths. The state is willing to come and pick up the carcasses or portions thereof so they can do a testing program. They're just trying to track the incidence of scrapie in the state. So I put that out as well.
So what does putting it out mean? How do you
I mean,
people that have sheep up here?
I contacted a few people that I know that have sheep, and I asked them to spread the word. And I put it up on Facebook on the extension website that I made. And there's a few people in the community who have like the Wet Mountain Farmer and Rancher page and some others, and they've been sharing it.
Good.
And I've just been trying to encourage them to do that. And anytime I talk to anybody from the papers, yeah, bless you.
Okay, good.
I let them know as well. They also talked about the CART training and FEMA training for emergency preparedness. So I've been looking into that and planning to get some of that training done. And then I'll be meeting with Tom Leica from Pueblo, but he's been busy with the fires that were taking place up at Fort Carson. So he and I are going to get together and work on some of that for this county. The retinal scans were completed for all the beef, and all their nomination forms are in. So we've got a few kids planning to go to state. And then I'll be attending training all day on the 21st up in Rifle so that we can just do the retinal scans ourselves in the county. I had gotten a hold of Chafee and a few other places to see if they wanted to do a cost share program because those scanners are $3,500 a piece, but they already have one over there, and Kurt said that we could borrow it anytime. So hopefully, bless you, this training will go well, and I can just do the retinal scans myself for the sheep and goats on the 29th of this month over at the fairgrounds. And then I just spoke to Leah Coleman and gave her all the information for her FFA kids. So I think they're getting all their hogs and sheep, lambs and goats. So she and I are working together to come up with a schedule so we can get all the hogs over to the fairgrounds so they can have a chance to weigh their animals in, separate from everyone else. And all those dates are going in the newsletter, which I'm going to send out here shortly today for April. 4-H had their carnival on the 16th. They had a decent turnout, but they said it wasn't as good as last year, so the kids are working on strategies for fixing that for next year. They're learning a little bit about business, I guess. We had the CART and emergency management, or the CES meeting, I guess, on the 20th. And so I'll be working, like I said, I'll be working with the other counties and our Office of Emergency Management to create the CART program for Custer. So we'll get that up and going. There's a few other people in the county who are doing some FEMA training, and I met with the Animal Welfare League because they were trying to get some training done to see where they fit in terms of small animal emergency preparedness. So I spoke with them a little bit and encouraged them to read up on the FEMA training and to understand that in the event of an emergency, we can't just have everybody running around, and just because you love dogs or you love horses, you can't just jump in and help. You're going to have to be certified. So like I said, all that's a work in progress. There'll be a big training. The Extension Disaster Emergency Network is holding a training in Salida on the 25th. It's all day. It's open to the public. I tried to send that out through Facebook and posted it down here on the bulletin board as well. I think Tom is going to go to that as well as myself. And then I also posted where some others are going to be around the state in case anyone can't come. A few people did get a hold of me and said, are there going to be any other dates because I can't get to Salida on the 25th. But that's now free and lunches provided, so it should be a pretty informational day.
Good.
Let's see. As far as Fair Board goes, we had our regular meeting on the 26th, mostly talking about the fairgrounds over there, the Saddle Club property versus county property. Still working on all of that to see what we might be able to do in terms of repairs. They're getting a lot of quotes on roof repairs and the hog pens. So hopefully we'll have a better update on that this month. And then we formed a judges selection committee, and I'm on that. So we had our first meeting this past Friday down at Diane's office, and we've got our first list together, so we're rolling through, looking to find some new judges for this year. Let's see. This afternoon, we have an extension advisory committee meeting, the first one of the year, first one in a while, I guess. And that'll be over at Greg Watkins' office on Bassett Place at 2 p.m. And planning to go over the bylaws and meeting frequency there.
Who's chairing that to begin with, do you know?
Who's chairing the meeting?
Mm-hmm.
Me.
Okay.
For today. Me for today.
would
Carol
assume
Custer had interest, but she's got some personal things going on, so
I would assume no.
I'll be in.
Do you have an agenda for that meeting, or?
I really just want to go over general introductions and review the bylaws and see if anyone's going to propose any changes. I have a few recommendations that I'd like to ask for, including the meeting frequency, increasing that.
Okay. I just wonder if they would be prepared today to elect officers or not.
I'm not anticipating that they will. I don't believe everyone's going to be able to attend, but I would like to have another meeting in the near future so that we can elect officers and move forward. The weed board meeting will be this afternoon in this room at 2 o'clock. And as of right now, everyone who is on the list that we contacted is planning to attend. I'll be there as well. And then there'll be the Upper Arkansas Weed Management meeting on the 12th at 9:30 in Canyon City.
Let's back up a minute. You said
Yes.
the weed board is scheduled for today. It's tomorrow, correct?
The extension is today, the weed board is
Weed board's
tomorrow.
Right.
Yes, sorry.
Yeah, no problem. Is there a cost for that Upper Ark Weed Management workshop or not?
No,
Okay.
there's not. It's just an area meeting.
I sent out an email to those. Did you see, did I include you in that yesterday? I'm sorry.
No, I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah, I just sent an email and mentioned that, reminded them of our meeting on the 4th and also the meeting on the 12th.
Okay, perfect. And you were going to go to that meeting on the 12th, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'll be there too. And hopefully we can find some resources and funding and network a little bit while we're up there. In case you hadn't heard, there was an incidence of anaplasmosis or yellow fever on the county line. So that was affecting...
Where was that?
That was at Greg Curtis's farm on the Huerfano Custer line south of here. And that was a couple of weeks ago. And I've spoken to several other members of the community. I talked to Jordan at the Tribune a little bit. I spoke to the state vet's office at length about that as well, and to Greg himself.
Talked to Huerfano County, they got a problem there.
I reached out to Carl, asking him if he's had any issues. I have not heard back from him yet, but I'm pretty sure he's aware of it. When I spoke to the state vet's office, they said they did not think that there was a cause for concern, that they had it controlled. The vet that Greg was using recommended a treatment plan. They went on treated feeds. They had 2 rounds of antibiotic injections, and they were doing well. He did lose a few of the bulls. He's grazing for a rancher down in Texas. There were a few adjacent ranchers or homeowners that were concerned. So I did post, that was all over the various Facebook pages, so I did go on there and share the information so everyone had the facts down, because there was a concern about it being a zoonotic disease and transferring to humans and other livestock, but it is strictly a ruminant issue, and it could, We did not get confirmation on whether or not it was from a tick bite or if it was a genetic condition just passed down from cow to calf. The state vet's office, when I spoke to them, again, they said that they did not believe there was a cause for concern at the moment, but if anyone did want to take extra precautions, there is a vaccine available for anaplasma, not currently available in the state, but all they would have to do is make a call to the state vet's office. They would approve the vaccine and get it here to the local vets to administer if necessary, and that offer is always on the table with them. But I spoke with Greg, got an update. He said that the rest of his herd is doing well. He had about 5 deaths from that bacteria, and I believe that it's taken care of.
Did they put any animals down?
They did not put any down. They had 5 die.
Right. And did the state vet come down or no?
The state vet did not come down. They worked with the local vet, and they performed necropsy, took tissue samples, and blood samples as well, which confirmed the blood samples confirmed the diagnosis. They have not gotten back to me on the tissue samples or the necropsy to see if it further confirmed or disproved that.
All 5 had yellow fever.
Okay. Thank you.
And then, as I've already mentioned, there's a new extension Facebook page. The 4-H page is up and active, and there's a few of us working on getting things up there so the information gets out to as many people as possible. And I've started posting things on the bulletin board down here by the front doors.
The Facebook page at Custer 4-H is the number 4 lowercase letter H with no hyphen, is that correct?
Correct. It's exactly as written. So it would be the @ symbol, lowercase Custer, the number 4, lowercase h.
Okay.
And then extension is at capital E, lowercase xt, and capital Custer, and then CO.
Okay, good.
I had a few people come in my first week here asking me about the potato program, and I had no idea what it was, but just got the San Luis Valley Research Facility just got a hold of me this week, and they said they have plenty and they are available and they will get them to me. So I put an interest form together, so they would be free seed potatoes of unreleased varieties. Basically, the research program is looking for feedback, so they'll provide the seed potatoes to anyone interested at no cost, as long as they fill out the form and provide some feedback.
How many do they have to plant? Is it a big piece of ground or any
No,
amount?
any amount, but they're hoping that each individual would want to plant 2 to 6 varieties. And they can have 2, or they can have 50 if they want. So that's available. I've got the forms upstairs on the table outside of my office. I put that up on Facebook and on the bulletin board downstairs. Jordan is going to run an article in the Tribune, I believe this week
When do they
for
have to be
me.
planted?
When do they have to be planted?
what time?
We're not going to plant them until at least the end of this month or next month. So they're going to send me all the
First part of
information.
May.
To an article on this, is that what you were saying? Okay. Cool.
Yes. Yes, I reached out to the Sentinel as well. I'm trying to do this without paying for an ad. So I'm
Press
still
release.
exploring those options. So, yes, that's my hope, because I know there's a lot of people that are interested in this program. There will also be available, and I intend to talk to anyone coming in who's interested in this program, if they would like russets or more common variety, I can get those as well for a very discounted price from the state. And the extension agent in Teller has someone who could pick those up for us, so we can save $300. I mean, they'd be like $1 a pound. But that's available too. And then I was brainstorming with Diana upstairs, because I had my own interest in developing a community garden. So I was poking around a little bit, and everyone in the building helped me get in touch with a few people, where I found out that there is a community garden already. And it was a very strange day, because several of those people started showing up in the office later, asking for help and saying that they really wanted to get it up and running. So looking to see how we can help with that and get the community involved there. And then I also had interest, back in Virginia, we had a extension education farm. So I just have some interest in maybe exploring that option here, where there we had the community get involved, and we did a giant potato planting, a giant strawberry or sunflower planting, and anyone who participated, they got to reap the benefits of that harvest. And then it was a good location to have like a beekeeping club class, or anything else the community was interested in. It was a good central outdoor location, where everyone could contribute, participate, and have the benefits. So I'm looking into options there. So if anyone has any input, I would love to hear it. So that's what's been going on. Next week, I will be in Breckenridge all week for the 4-H mega meeting, except for Thursday, when I'll be up in Canyon City. And then I wanted to make sure to mention that the speech event will take place on the 27th at 6 at the Saddle Club. And should be pretty exciting. I know the kids are excited for that.
Good.
And that's all I have today.
Okay.
6 p.m. did you say?
6 p.m. on the 27th at the Saddle Club.
So I have a question.
Yes.
Are you happy here? Are we treating you well? What can we do to make your life better?
I'm happy. Everything's going well, I believe.
I'll tell you,
I've been busy. So.
I'm more of an outsider in this area, but it sure sounds like you got a great handle on things, and I appreciate it.
Thank you. I appreciate that too.
Yeah, that has been my sense as well, that you've done a very good job of getting up to speed and getting involved. And so I've heard nothing but good comments from people in the community. So thank you. Appreciate that. I've got an idea or two about your community garden, so remind me and we can have that conversation as well.
Okay.
All right. Thank
Sounds
you, ma'am.
good. Thank you.
You just feel free to come back anytime you'd like.
Oh, will do.
I'll complain if there's a problem.
Keep up the good work.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Next time if you should Photoshop my picture to make me look
Okay.
skinnier. Right, Shannon?
Okay, Donna's on her way.
Thank you. Be quiet.
Don't act like you know me. But I tell all the men I know. Don't act like you know me.
Come in, sir.
Hey, Charlie.
Good morning.
Morning.
How are you? Good, good. I think we are ready. Welcome.
Hi, Miss Donna.
Hi, how are you?
How are you this morning?
Good to see
You
you.
enjoying that new sidewalk?
I am, it's
Good.
awesome.
I
You
would,
want to scratch your name in the wet cement?
No, because I thought they would probably know who it was and that would not be good.
Just do
Might
Hoppy
just
and
use
go
somebody
play
else's.
Jackie.
That's right, and they wouldn't even think a thing of it. They'd say, oh, yes, it was her.
I would anticipate your foot traffic may go up because of that, but I don't think we had anything documented.
And I really don't have a report. I mean, I people get their paycheck, you get your reports for the bills, and then I'm working on quarterlies, which, I mean, I don't really know what I would send.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you for providing the vouchers in a timely fashion. That was nice.
You had said that you wanted more money and I was to come up with that. Well, okay, I have not
You rob a
managed to
bank?
make that happen. No wheelbarrows of money coming through, but I am working on like a 5-year of where our money is went and where we've increased on there. And so, currently I'm doing my quarterlies and unemployment and the 941s and all my normal things for this, and then I'll work on John's, and then I'll get back to the other. But trying to see where, and not that any of the programs are bad, but like how much we've really spent on the airport, how that impacts our general fund when we do transfers, and just different things that if you guys wanted to reorganize or do something different or stay the course. So that's all I got.
So we're tracking.
Yes.
Got your
Try to
HR
get you-
hat on? Did you wear it as well today?
Yes.
Good, because I have an HR question for
Okay.
you.
Ooh, it's a test.
Maybe a combination of a question for you and Attorney Smith. If an employee resigns from their employment at the county, I guess generally, if an employee resigns anywhere, are they eligible for unemployment benefits?
Yes and no. Most people do go ahead and file. And it depends on why they resigned. A lot of people, the job just wasn't a good fit. Once they got here, they realized they hated it. Well, they quit rather than be fired because they knew they weren't doing well. And sometimes in their report to unemployment, they say as much. And so it was kind of the same. Usually they don't get it as long. Under President Obama, there for a while, it was 18 months they could get unemployment. I mean, it was huge. It was a huge impact for places. And we didn't have that kind of turnover that it was, but it could have been $30,000 or better that we would pay in unemployment for a person had that happened.
Just to follow up with this question, if you feel an employee is applying for and you feel it's not appropriate, do you routinely contest it?
I fight every one of them unless in the negotiations for their last day that was part of the consensus that we would not fight the unemployment. And that's happened a couple of times.
Okay.
And have you had any unemployment claims turned in?
This year, no, but we're still finishing out a few, and they're not much. There may be $2,000 or $3,000 in a quarter, not big money. And I take that out of the insurance fund. Let's say it was at Road and Bridge, and it was $30,000. Well, gosh, that would make him not be able to hire someone for 6 months. So if I take that out of the self-insurance, it makes everybody feel a little better.
You keep us posted if we are subject to any new claims for unemployment.
Okay, I will do so.
Would please, I'd appreciate that. Thank you. Anything else, gentlemen? Or? Looks good. Thank you. Thanks for coming in.
Thanks.
Thanks, Mr.
Let me know when you hear from Sam on that email.
Okay, I know, I'm curious too.
Yeah, that'll be interesting to.
I'd asked John and he went, oh, I don't know.
Yeah. Okay, thank you, ma'am. As much as I hate to, I guess we'll move on. Oh, she stepped out, gosh darn it.
We're 15 minutes ahead.
She didn't get to hear that, did she? Yeah.
Aren't we?
Planning and zoning. Good morning.
Since I had actually done my report down in Wetmore not too long ago, the only reason I'm here because is to come in with Mr. Cole and Mr. King about the road in Lake Louise. I was just out in the hallway with the county road boss, and I asked his opinion of what he thought about it. And he said he had no problem with it.
Okay.
And I think Mr.
Do you want me to wait until?
Yeah, let's wait for a minute. I think we'll have an opportunity to hear from you, sir, if you don't mind. We'll get up to speed. That's okay.
Oh, yeah.
So, Miss Jackie, give us the big picture, would you please?
Okay, so everyone should have got a map and some pictures from Miss. Okay, so if you look, heading south down Tralee is Mr. King and Cole and King's property.
So let me bring these gentlemen up to speed. That is the second document, sir, down.
I only got one, I think.
Right there.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah.
Never mind, I got it.
Because our deals are a little
I got it.
We've been
different on that.
discussing this for
Yeah.
a year now, have we not?
Yes, okay. This has been brought up with the previous board. At the time, I thought we had no issues,
Okay.
and then it kind of went by the wayside again. So we're back at it again. I did go out and take some pictures, and they might be a little misleading unless you're familiar. So always remember the top of a map is north. And so the picture right here is state land.
Can I give you these? These might help them look down on what the plat looks like, and that's the...
Okay, sure. So the top, this is state land. So if you go all the way to the end of Tralee, we're on the tax assessor's map. It shows adjoining, and it says what map. This is all state land back here. So even if we did allow this, if you did allow this to happen, we're not landlocking anyone. Usually,
Which one was that, Jackie?
right here, this is all state land.
Okay.
And then right up in here is, as you go down the main road to Lake Dewey. So over on that west side is all the state land.
Yep.
And then you hit Judy Rafferty and all those. Okay, so that's where this sign is. And that is located right here on this fence. This dotted line is the fence. So right here is where that state land thing is. The other picture on the bottom is showing heading north, just down the street. I just thought I'd give you a view of north. I spoke with, well, let's continue with the pictures. This is what the property looks like. It's this little road right here, in here, and then you can barely see the state land sign. It's a little hunk, and it has been done previously before in other areas. And what we usually require is half the property goes to one owner and the other half, if you agree to vacate the street, the other. What they would be required to do is a deed, because that would change their deed.
Line
And then,
adjustment, is that what it is?
and a survey. So we would take the legal off the survey and put it on a deed, and then they'd have to record a deed because we just changed their property. And reason why it wouldn't, if you approve it, then it really wouldn't, it'd be approved in here, but the final approval would not be until the parties got their paperwork in order. I spoke with Mr. Gary Hyde. And I asked him to come. He just asked me to come out in the hallway, and he says he really doesn't have any problem with it. He went out there and looked at the road, and at the beginning he thought he would have an issue because he thought when he was plowing he would come up that far with the snow. But he said no, he really doesn't, because those roads were given to the county by McCarty but a lot of them don't have maintenance on them.
Well, I know, and someday somebody will go.
We have done this before in Rosita. We've done like 22, 23 of the roads. They weren't constructed. They were from an old survey. We've done it in other areas.
So why do they want to do it, Jackie?
That would
A
be.
couple reasons why.
Why don't you introduce yourself?
Okay, my name's Kelly Cole.
Tall flower.
Jay.
The longest deal we've worked on.
Kind of got mixed in translation with other commissioners. So what happens here is Patty's more hindered than I am, because what happens here, this is her only access. She's landlocked if this thing is not. And a couple things that happen. People think this is a parking lot. So they'll bring their dump trucks, their trailers, and park them there. And then if we decide we want to come in with a trailer, we're blocked out of, my entrance is coming on this side. And she's totally blocked out. And in the previous years, when they did snow plow, instead of putting it along the sides, they used to mount it up into there, and we couldn't get in there all winter long because it looks like a big parking lot. And then she has no access until the snow starts melting. So we get a lot of people that park and block us out of our entrances. We thought, well, if we could do this, put our entrances in the front and close this off, we can get access to our properties all the time at that point.
So what was the reason it's there? Is there a reason to have the state land accessible through there? Or is there
No, there's
many other
other.
ways?
It won't even be landlocked in the state because they go from they go from the far east to the far west. There's tons of places.
Or when you say Patty, you're referring to Mrs. King?
Miss King, she couldn't make it this morning. She had to bail out, so. And she's the one that owns this one here.
Are either of you full-time or part-time residents up there?
Just part-time. So it's hard for us, when somebody comes in there, or when they plow snow, we come in 2 or 3 weeks later, and then we're stuck out here, and if we want to bring a trailer or something in. We've had dump trucks, semi-trucks, dump bed trucks, people just parking and yeah, well, we haven't dumped yet, but they think that's just an open parking lot, and then we're stuck from even getting into our property.
Mr. Cole, if the county did grant you this property, how do you plan on keeping those tractor trailers out?
We're gonna put a fence across the front here. She's gonna put her main gate in the front, and then I'll put my main gate in the front. Then we'll just take our fences down and put one through the center of our property, so we got front access, and it'll be right on the road at that point. Then she'll have better access point here, because it'd be hard to block her off at that point.
And are you and Ms. King willing to pay for the expense of the survey and recording fees and the rest of that? Yes. I remember we got a letter from her, from that quite a while back. Ms. King saying that she was in favor of this.
Yes, back in November.
And she actually came and speak.
Yeah, exactly.
I do remember that, yes.
So we have all the parties that really would be affected: the landowners, the road and bridge, all in agreement. And I do not see any problem with it.
So what you want from us today is just a go-ahead to proceed. We can't approve it until you get the surveys.
Correct. I would like the permission to proceed with the paperwork.
And it's not an impact on BLM. They don't need to be a player at this table.
No.
And ownership of the property will be split between the two landowners.
Yes.
It's not a right by use. They will own the land.
No.
Do you know how many square feet the lot is?
60 by 100.
And the road should be, it all depends because all the roads are different, but I think it's 30. There's 30-foot easements there, so they're going to gain 15 feet apiece.
Well, just from historical advantage, Mr. Cole and Ms. King have been asking for this for a very long time. Has it been a year?
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Sounds like all the ducks are lined up.
yeah, it sounds to me like they've done their homework. It's no negative impact on us. And I would like for us to go ahead and make an approval on this. Not make an approval, to vote on it. So as a result there, I would like to move that we vacate that portion of Trailey Road that is adjacent to Mr. Cole and Miss King's property, as outlined in the map from
Jackie.
our assessor.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to authorize project to move forward of vacating the Trailey Road at the intersection of the King and Cole property. Any further discussion? Then you report back to us at some point, huh?
Yes. And I'll get with Kelly Cole and tell him what he needs to do, and then he'll just bring the paperwork in. Then at the final, when it's all recorded, I'll bring you a copy and let you look at it.
When the time comes, let me see it ahead of time, because I need to do it, they need to do it by resolution to vacate that. once
Yeah,
we
and it
have
would
the
be
legal
better if we had a
description.
legal to do the resolution,
Right,
correct?
yeah, obviously. So,
Okay, good. Further discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. Sorry, thank you. Public comment? No, I appreciate it. I appreciate it. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. May move forward, sir. Thank you. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you
Appreciate
guys.
it.
Appreciate it.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
We'll see you. Thank you.
Have fun parking.
Oh yeah, we're keeping out. Need anything from me? I'll just start with the surveys and go from there.
Yeah, yeah, you have my email, correct? Okay.
Okay,
All
thank
right,
you.
you're welcome.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
The other thing was just an FYI.
The documents?
Yes.
Okay.
So, I have an off-the-wall question, because I don't know. With our water board, Round Mountain, significantly raising fees, is there any restriction for someone, even if they are in I guess you wouldn't, it doesn't really pertain to you, but do we have any county properties that are affected by Round Mountain Water Supply?
Yes.
We do.
And if we have a private residence, this is really where the question is going, if they choose to say, I don't want to do this, can they apply for and obtain a permit to put in a septic in the well? No. Okay, that's what I wanted to, that question has come to me several times, and I told them I don't know.
Well, and that's what's really interesting too, because if you go up to Silvercliff and you look to the left of the highway, French Street, Cliff Street,
Right.
Round Mountain doesn't service them. So I do the septics there, plus I do the septics out in Silvercliff Ranch. If Round Mountain does not service them, then we do.
You have to. Okay, well, thank you, that was a question. They can't tell Round Mountain to take a hike and do their own thing in areas that Round Mountain could service.
Correct.
Got it, thank you.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Appreciate it.
Thank you. That was
Thanks for
good.
working with Mr. Cole and Ms. King, that's been a long,
Do you want, okay.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
do we want to take a 10-minute?
Yeah, let's try to make it a 5-minute recess, if that's okay. Gentlemen, are we in?
Well, that's a problem. I don't like that.
BOCC meeting will reconvene. Next item on our agenda is a staff report from Public Health. Good morning.
Hello, Public Health.
How are ya?
Sneak around here.
Good, how are you? How are you? Alright, so I left a very important thing off of the report.
Okay.
I know, I
Go
feel
at it.
really badly about it, but so Public Health, because of Beth Green, because she's incredible, got the Children's Health Fund grant for $7,000. Yeah, so we're going to be able to provide kiddos with oral health care, which is a huge
Is this
gap
the
in
one
this
where
county.
the dentist will be coming up here?
Children's Health.
The Children's Health Fund from the Bluegrass Festival. Yeah. So it's the way it's written is actually awesome because they can go here, but if they have to go down the hill, we can still help cover those costs. So if it's, they need some kind of like an oral surgery or they need something that we can't do here, we can still help cover it. So, yeah.
And do they have to qualify for that somehow?
They have to be, what's the word I'm looking for? Yeah, they need to be referred. So, But that can even be just by the dentist. You know, they go in, they have a screen, the dentist says, you know, you need $600 worth of work, and the parents are like, yeah, that's not going to happen. Then
So it
we
can be referred at the time they're being
Exactly. Yeah.
Spectacular.
Yeah.
Very pleased.
Nice.
Yeah. So, health fairs this weekend.
Oh,
Oh,
it is?
Yeah, it is.
Already.
And we show up at like 5:30 this year. I'm fine. I just want to make sure that that's the time.
I told my mom that. She decided she wasn't coming.
I don't believe I'm going at 5:30. Mrs. Flower is, but Mr. Flower is not.
When's it open? It's 7:30.
It starts at 7.
Or 7.
Yeah. So really, honestly, if y'all want to get there at 6:30, that's probably plenty. Plenty. Yeah.
Not that I mind. I will do
We're
whatever
so
you need.
blood
Is there going to be
draw.
coffee and donuts? I'll be
Yes, there will be good breakfast.
donuts.
healthy donuts.
Maybe not power rings, but
We're setting up on Friday.
we're setting up on Friday, starting at 9 in the morning, and we'll just sort of be there all day because different folks will come in throughout the day
Wonderful.
to set stuff up. So, super exciting. We're gonna do the passport thing. Have you guys heard about that we're doing? So we got a couple of Fitbits, an altitude fitness membership, an Instapot, and a Drift Sun cooler. For
Insti is the correct spelling.
it is. I looked it up because I knew you were gonna say that.
Because I would have argued. I thought it was Insta.
No, that's what it
Wow.
says right on the side of it. So
My daughter believes it's the finest invention in the last 100 years.
really, I've never used one, but I hear it's fantastic.
What is it?
I have no. I've never
It's
heard
an electric, basically an electric pressure cooker.
And apparently you can put like a frozen chicken in it and have it cooked in like
Oh, yeah.
6 minutes.
Yeah. 6 full-size bacon potatoes in about 8 minutes. Done in perfection. Yeah, it's amazing.
So what do I need to do to win this?
Yeah,
You gotta
so,
get your passport signed by at least 8 tables.
right.
Go to Amazon.
Yep, that's right. 8 tables, get a sticker from 8 tables at the health fair, and then you'll be in a drawing, so.
Now, is that a prize or is that different prizes? Somebody could, different people, that's not all going to one person.
No, it's,
Right.
yeah, so we'll have like 4 drawings, yeah. No, that'd be a good haul if you. So that's that. I'm leaving tonight to go to the EPR conference in Denver. Perfect timing, right? Right before the health fair.
Are you coming back?
Thursday, I'll be home Thursday.
Monday morning.
Evening, right? Switch on Monday. Have fun.
Knock yourself out.
Yeah. So, let's see. What else should I tell you about on here? Pretty much everything is status
Ask you
quo.
about the Custer County Kids Council. I go
Okay.
to those meetings. Is anything getting done?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So they are actually just now finishing up their surveys, which we've gotten some fantastic information out of that. Mostly that the disparity in this county is a hole in healthcare, which I say that very broad and liberally because it's, I mean, what is provided here is fantastic considering the size. So I'm putting together an article right now about like what you should expect from a rural healthcare facility and versus a hospital or a clinic in a big city. So
I know it's been an issue and some newspaper
yeah.
issues.
So there's a few things that are actually offered at our clinic that are not, they don't have to do that. And they lose a lot of money doing it, but they do it as a service to the community, such as lab draws and x-rays and physical therapy. So that will be coming on
CPR.
CPR as usual. I have another class the 17th of April.
That's open to anybody.
Tobacco conference next week. Yes, it is. So, and Carmeline's been a busy little bee with all her little people over there. So, we did get, I guess I should tell you too, our VFC site visit went really good. So that vaccines for children, we had no holes. Like, Beth was amazing. She did, everything was spot on.
Good.
Carmeline helped a lot with that too. So, and then our epi visit, the epidemiologist came up from Denver or from Pueblo, and we spent quite a bit of time actually with Art going over like mass fatality stuff, which was pretty eye-opening actually. Gonna work on that a little bit, but we're all in compliance with that stuff too. So.
Looks wonderful.
Questions? Concerns?
Well, I certainly
comments?
have a question.
Oh, good. I was hoping.
So apparently, based on your report and your notes, we do have an LGBTQ community.
Yes, we do.
Okay. And you have done the safe zone training thing.
Yes, I have.
Okay.
And I appreciate it.
And is that by law, by design, by desire, by need, by want? How does that happen?
Let's go with need and want.
Okay.
It's a huge initiative in Chaffee and Lake County. A little bit less for Custer County and Florence or Fremont County. So the going forward now, what we'll do is just if anybody in the community wants, it's awareness. It's not like any kind of beat you over the head, make you change your mind about whatever your beliefs are. It's really just a 2-hour thing saying this is what the terms are, this is what the disparities are, or the perceived disparities, and not even a situation of we need to change anything, just awareness of this is what it is. This is what.
Okay. Could you make me aware of what Q stands for?
Queer.
Not questionable. Okay. Thank you. And Region 13, what makes up Region 13?
So Region 13 is Lake County, Chaffee County, Custer County, and Fremont County.
Not Buffalo.
No. So it's a little bit confusing because so in the public health spectrum we're Region 13, but in the Healthcare Coalition we're South Region, which includes Warfano, Los Animas, Pueblo, Custer counties.
Okay.
And Fremont. So.
School nurse doing okay? School in good shape? with
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, she's doing good.
Good.
Seems like there is a couple of concerns about some suicidal parties in high school right now. So
That's very concerning.
we're right in the middle of that. So that was actually brought to my attention on Friday by a high school kid, and so we had a meeting about that this morning or yesterday morning. Right, we jumped right in the middle of it. So hopefully those kids will have their support somehow.
We will
Yeah.
support whatever you have to do.
So.
And I believe I saw, I think it was through CES, a rather large amount of money connected to MRC. Am I daydreaming about that? Do they have a budget?
Well, we got $2,000 from the county in our budget last year for MRC. That's it.
That's it.
Yeah. So we don't get any state funding from MRC like we used to because that's all gone into the Healthcare Coalition, and so now we have to go through the Healthcare Coalition to get it.
So you
And
still use some of that money for MRC out of the Healthcare Coalition?
we
Or
were
not?
denied it. Yeah, I mean theoretically
If
we
you had it,
can,
you could.
but we haven't. The Pueblo County sucks it all up now.
Okay.
What can we do to make your job better?
Come up with 6 church pews.
That would be fantastic.
I know you're looking for the
Upcoming nuptials.
Yep. Yep.
Date.
June 2nd.
How cool.
I just gave away a church pew.
You did?
You'll hear that probably now.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't know you were looking.
I know, I should probably just put it on Facebook.
I got a quick question for you, just
Yes, sir.
because I don't know the answer. How do you interact or work with the homeschooling community? We've got a lot of kids up here, and I see the student health people in the school system. There was 237 students seen. What are we obligated to do there?
I'm not sure that we have an actual like obligation. That seems weird saying we're public health. I think we should be, and we are. So, the Custer County Kids Council, even though they really only deal with 8 and under, because we're so tiny, they're getting an understanding of what that community looks like and how we can get in to help them. So, sports physicals, we will also do homeschool kids that maybe are either just in sports and still homeschool or even aren't in sports but need a physical. So we will cover those kids as well. And then immunizations, we send all the flyers out. And there's a couple of like lead people that, you know, kind of seem to are the ringleaders of the homeschool.
Well, I know
and so
there's
we can get a hold of them.
A good relationship between the school itself and the homeschooling people, because there's different courses that they'll be participating in as well as sports. And it helps also from a taxpayer dollar point of view to count the head count. So you need to be doing that, I would think, from a nursing point of view.
Yeah. Yeah, we need to get better about that. The other thing is the Amish community, we have really got no clue how many kiddos they have. So,
Do you need to have that?
kind of working on that too.
It'd be nice to have that information.
It would be nice to have that information just because for, you know, even just for census, but then, I mean, there was a case of whooping cough last year.
Now, you wouldn't want to have us not be in the dark here. Or them, it could go the other way.
Exactly, yeah. And we have a lot of stuff that we could offer them, I think, that they don't even know about. And I don't, there's a disconnect there because I don't even know how to approach that.
Age.
Of kids? I would say 18 and under. Yeah.
I'll reach out to those guys.
Okay, that would be awesome. Thank you.
Get back to you.
Okay. I mean, and if they don't, I know that, I mean, I vaccinated a few of them, you know, and especially if they get chopped their hand off, you know, then they come and get a tetanus shot. So it's not, I mean, I'm not going to push stuff on them they don't want, but.
What are you?
So those vaccines go through our VFC, our Vaccines for Children, or we have the 317 program. So those vaccines are available for free from the government for underinsured or uninsured folks.
That should be everybody. You just got to make sure I don't mean everybody's underinsured, but it ought to be available to the homeschooling community.
It absolutely is. Yeah, it absolutely is.
Do they know it?
I don't know. That's
Well, who's obligated?
the disparity
Make sure they
of probably me. I need to do better with that. Which I'm hoping to get some more information through this survey that we're getting. But I also so through the school they have connections to the homeschool.
Yeah, they do. Talk to the principal. I worked a lot with Barb Jones on that in the past.
Okay.
We had a lot of kids that are friends of our kids that were in that community, and we participated.
I mean, it's just I need to educate myself, but then it's also about educating them just to the programs that are available and what.
And the head count helps you champion for more money for reasons that they've got a population that needs it, that needs to be counted.
Do you think you'd have a document that could highlight services available to?
I do have. It's actually like just Public Health 101 kind of form that just tells of everything that we have. So. Yeah, we could easily get that to them if I just knew where to go with it.
I'll get back with you.
All right, thank you.
Anything else?
I don't have anything.
Gentlemen, any questions? Comments? Thank you.
Alrighty, thank
Good,
you.
that's good.
Let's see, I don't know where this came from, but I don't think it's mine.
It must have been left here from somebody else.
I think that's
Somebody's
my,
heirloom pen.
that's my squeaky one.
Oh, it is? Oh, well.
Go ahead and grind it a little more.
Okay.
Sit right on
Hear
your lap.
that.
You know, one thing is the old Westwood Schoolhouse. That is now being used by Mennonites for schooling, so.
We
just
have,
take
so
the
Beth has actually taken stuff over there, and that's actually where some of our immunizations, where we got some of those immunizations, so.
Because
You're right.
You got bodies.
Okay, gentlemen, any old business?
Thank you.
I do not have anything. Well, I guess I could just report that minimal progress has been made on the restroom issues down in Wetmore, but I fired them back up. I spoke to Clinton. He suggested I beat on them a little more, and I did. And they promised they're going to get something to us.
That being the contractor?
That's being the men's restroom.
I know it's the men's restroom, but who did you fire?
Oh, that's the contractor I went to directly and CC'd the architect this time. Clint's suggestion seemed to have been a great suggestion.
Good,
Thank you, Clint.
good. So most likely they're going to replace that.
I hope
You
so.
will?
I believe they're going to come and ask us for money, and that's when we'll see what happens. But that's not an issue till it's an issue.
Okay, good. We'll move on to new business. We took care of the Cole King Road vacate. That was kind of weird how we just jumped into that. My
stepped over it.
apologies. I should not have allowed that.
I'm just interested in knowing how a road could have a vacation, because it says here
That's
road
right.
vacation
That's right.
in Sierras. Never mind.
Before we move into public comment, I would like to just pursue officially the conversation we had during break, if I may, concerning our sidewalk project that the town of Westcliff is funding. And we had some discussion about what to do with our lawn, whether to put a retaining wall around it or not. If we had a retaining wall, then we'd leave the lawn basically like it is. If we do not have a retaining wall, then we'd have to backslope that down to the sidewalk. My concern is twofold. One, it was not our discussion to do that. Our discussion was to include a retaining wall, and two, I'm a little concerned about the back sloping because we'll get into the root zone of those two trees. So you would be willing to talk to Westcliff, town of
When I leave
Westcliff?
this meeting, I will go to Westcliff and talk to them.
Okay,
I'd like to publicly say how discouraged I am that Westcliff led us on to believe that they were going to build a retaining wall, and then without any discussion with us after, that's what the impression we were left with, that they decided not to do it, knowing that it would have a significant impact on the county. And I'm very disappointed with them not having a discussion saying, hey, we can't afford it, what do you want to work out? Something like that should have occurred.
Just to make sure everybody is clear, that sidewalk's being repaired, and it was an opportunity, since they have to cut through there, to save some money for both us and then the town.
Now, we did agree at our expense to cement the little piece of turf where everybody walks through to go from planning and zoning to...
Extra sidewalk.
Yeah, the extra sidewalk. We agreed to do that from the beginning, but we also had an agreement on this retaining wall, and I'm very disappointed that no discussion was made before they unilaterally made this decision without giving us an opportunity to have input into it.
Yeah, well, why'd they do it? Is it cost or what? We don't even know.
Well, I just learned about it this morning.
Yeah,
I had no idea.
and I didn't learn about it until yesterday. Let me give you a little backstory from my perspective. I did go talk to Mike Langston, who's the GC on this project, and discussed with him how we could put the retaining wall in, what height, form it on the front, partially form it on the back, do an earth bank form the rest of the way down. We had all that discussion, elevation, where it was going to start, where it was going to end, coming around here. And so I thought we were on solid ground, and yesterday the foreman for Langston Concrete informed me that they were not going to do the retaining wall, and that's when I sent you an email and tried to get a hold of Mike Carter. So, yeah, I was under the understanding all along that we were going to have a retaining wall there. I guess we could talk to Donna and see where we're at with maintenance and repairs. If we have to come up with money, of course, Lester, their foreman, was not really his position to tell me, but he said he believed it was because they did not plan on the handrails for the two ramps. And that's of financing the two, coming up with the money to pay for the two handrails is why the retaining wall got pushed off the table.
Discussion is what I'm really upset about.
But I certainly thought somebody would have gotten a hold of us and said, hey, it doesn't look like we're gonna be able to do that. So, I do know that Langston Concrete is gonna be in the area. They're waiting on a CDOT, permit to put in some more handicap ramps in West Cliff. And then they've got a small job out in the county. So I think they will be here for another week or so, but I would also think this is probably something that we need to try to get resolved. If we're gonna have them do the work, it would make sense to have them do it now while they're here. It'd be a lot cheaper.
My suggestion would be, there are multiple ways of, first of all, I think we need, I feel the way it is left is totally unacceptable. It's gonna fall in, it's gonna make a mess, it's gonna become a hazard. So some kind of retainer needs to be put up to stop the dirt as it gets wet from falling in, if it ever rains again. Multiple ways of doing it. We could actually do a cement wall, which was what I thought we were doing in the first place. They also make a product, because I've used it in my home. It's a metal, and then you put spikes in it. So that's not a long term, but it's an inexpensive fix that will work for a period of time. So we have options on how we can fix it. I think we need, I feel we need to agree that it's unacceptable the way it is, and we need to come up with a solution. And I think if getting a bid from Langston would make perfectly good sense. I don't think it's the kind of project we need to put out for bid, because it would be under the minimum that needs to go out. Potentially, I don't know what the cost would be. But I definitely feel we need to move forward with it, because sure enough,
There's a big opportunity there, pouring concrete, right?
Exactly.
10 feet away. And
exactly. That's why I think they probably could do it reasonably. But I'll just go back to, I'm very disappointed.
Yeah, my opinion would be that the concrete retaining wall really would be the only acceptable project. If we do a rock and mortar wall, eventually that's gonna crumble, the mortar's gonna give way, we'll be having rock out on the sidewalk. I just felt like the plan we had was perfect, it was gonna work well.
I did too.
Did talk to Gary Hyde, just so you know, about if his guys would be available and willing to come up and backslope it, if that's what we decided. He said they would. He agreed that the root zone was gonna be a bit of an issue. So, if you don't mind representing us to the town of West Cliff and
I will go
share
there
our
immediately
concerns.
from here and tell them what we feel. And in fact, I'm going to tell them I think they owe us a retaining wall. I'm not tell them that. I don't think it'll go anywhere, but I'll tell them that.
Yeah, I mean, it seemed very clear to me that was going to require handrails. You can't just stop the concrete sidewalk at the edge of the street and have a 30-inch drop-off. So,
well, you know, they want to have a good relationship with us. We help them, they help us. That's kind of a silly thing that they didn't even bother to talk to us. That's something that they need to
I was
understand.
very pleased when they approached us and said, we're going to do this. Can we make a choice?
And they could have said, it's going to cost 10 cents more. Well, we'll help you pay half of the cost, or whatever it is. We just needed to negotiate.
Absolutely agree with you.
thank you for doing
The way
that.
they've solved this in West Cliff, they've made cement benches at the drop-offs as a place to
Saw
stand.
that, yeah.
So, I mean,
Okay, well, thank you
all
for
right, I'll go forward with
carrying
that.
that message.
Hopefully I'll have some report tomorrow.
Public comment. Any at all? No, we're good? Okay, thank you.
I move we adjourn.
I second that.
Moved and seconded to adjourn. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed nay. Motion carries. Let the record show 11:21 a.m. We adjourn the meeting. Thank you, man.